just whilst we are letting other people in, I'll just talk to you today about exactly what we're hoping to achieve. We're looking at breaking down the learning today, how to review breaking down the learning success criteria. We're going to talk about learning success criteria today and strategies for how to model the learning to your students. So that's what we're going to focus on in particular today. On our journey through the lesson plan, those people who have attended so far will recognise this poster. We have referred to it over the last couple of months. If you haven't seen this yet, we have steadily worked through this poster over the course of the last 4 months. We are now on this section right at the very bottom, all about providing time for our learners to practice, demonstrating to our learners how to complete the learning, how to model the activity, whether you've planned enough time for that, and whether you've planned enough time to practice. So this is where we are on our journey. Now, last workshop, we had a little look at how to make sure our learners understand the lesson objectives that we have written. Now, them understanding what they want to achieve and what you want them to achieve is not quite the same thing as them actually achieving it. So sometimes we have to plug that gap and we have to fill in the idea of how to achieve something. And that's what we're going to look at today. If you didn't receive this poster, don't worry, you can look in the past section of our Teach2030 website. There is all the stuff from the past workshops. There's a link on there. So modelling. Now, it's a really interesting one because sometimes what you say is, right, okay, learners, today I would like you to write me a story. Go. And sometimes they're thinking, well, what does that mean? How do we write a story? How do we do that? So modelling the learning is about you showing your students how you want an activity to be achieved and how you want them to learn. Now, I'm a big fan. Historically, that's why I said about story. I'm an English teacher. That's what my subject is. And what I do with my students when I'm teaching them something about writing a story is I show them live. So I model live writing, which is quite hard because sometimes you make a bit of a mistake and you think, oh, that's not a very good word, and I don't quite know that that's the best word. So I cross it out and I think of a better word. Now that's okay. That's completely okay to show them that you aren't perfect and that you are editing and adapting your work as you go. And it's the same if you're modeling something in maths. I'm going to show you a bit of modeling later on. And the idea that actually, well, it's 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, how do I do that? Where do I do it like? And to show them, your journey. It's okay to feel frustrated here. I often do. I find it quite difficult. I find it really difficult to start a story. I actually find that quite difficult. Let's have a think about what I can do. Ask lots of questions. So what do you think I should do next? So ask the students, if I come up with a really good sentence to begin with, well, what do you think I should do next? Where should we go with this story? Where should we continue? Who should we introduce? What is it that I'm doing? Am I doing this the right way? Show them some good practice exemplars. I'm a big fan of showing our students the practice exemplars and how to achieve something. Now, it might be something to do with maybe an experiment, if you're doing a science lesson, and showing them exactly how to, for example, model doing an experiment to the class so that they can then continue. And don't over model. Make sure that pupils have time to practice. Now, again, rather than modeling the exact task you want them to do, maybe you want to adapt the task slightly. So, for example, I want my class to write a story that involves happiness. So what I do is I actually show them a story that involves sadness. And I model that so that they can then practice and adapt. It's all the same skill: how to write a story, how to think about vocabulary, how to think about sentences, how to think about punctuation control. But they then have to be a bit creative when they come to do it themselves. If we over model and show them exactly what the answer is to the task that we're setting, that can be quite complex in terms of the fact that they might sit there and go, well, what am I supposed to do now? You've done it for me, miss, or sir, you've done this task for me. So don't over model. Now there's a little poster here, and regarding the poster, you will receive this in the post-event handbook, the post-event materials. You'll get an email straight, pretty much within a couple of days, within a week of this workshop, if you've signed up with us on our Teach2030 website, and you will receive this poster along with a lot of other downloadable materials. You'll also be able to re-watch the workshop live, this live workshop again, and you'll be able to do that. So please watch out in your emails for this. Now, we're talking today a lot about success criteria rather than lesson objectives. So there's a difference between them. Learning objective is broken down into mini goals or ingredients. These are called success criteria. They make it clear to the learners what they need to do to achieve the lesson objective. The lesson objective shows the skill that they are learning. The success criteria shows what they are doing. So the difference between what it is that they are doing to achieve the learning objective. So saying that they are going to give a skill is one thing. So the lesson objective is the skill they are learning. But the success criteria is how do they achieve that skill? How is it, what are the steps to get there in order to achieve that lesson objective? So I was talking a lot about English. Now we're going to talk a little bit about math. So let's have a little look. To add two digits together. So if I've got a maths lesson and we're thinking about success criteria, this is the objective. This is the skill I want them to achieve at the end of the lesson, to be able to add two-digit numbers together. So the success criteria, well, how do I get them to the point where they can do that? What I might do, it's very basic, it's very simple, but equally it depends what year group you're teaching. If this is obviously for earlier years, this is exactly the sort of thing that you might do. You might write out the sum correctly using the plus and the equal sign, and then maybe explain what plus and equals means and where we put them. You might decide which addition method to use, whether it be counters, or you might use your fingers and numbers, and you might say to them, listen, students, try to use your fingers to do this, count them out on two different hands. Work out the sum and write the answer after the equal sign. So you're showing them how to do that and where to write the answer, because obviously at this point they probably don't know that's where they're supposed to write the answer. And then we check our answers. Now, I'm just going to stop because I know I'm whizzing through. Cheryl, is there anything that anybody's saying so far that's interesting?
I think everybody is taking it all in.
Thanks, Cheryl. Please feel free to reflect and tell me about anything that you think works with regards to success criteria. I know I whizzed through it quite quickly. Does anybody model, for example? Does anybody do any of these activities so far? Has anybody tried any of them? Can anybody see and hear where we might do that, where we might do some of these steps? If this is the success criteria, where is it we are modeling? We're modeling in every one of these steps. Can anybody give me any examples of their own modeling that they use? Okay, what I'm going to do to allow you to have a little bit of time to just write into the answer. Thank you, Beam. That's lovely. This is the method that I use in class. I'm going to put a pretend lesson on the board. Okay, here is an objective to use two adjectives in a sentence. We all know I'm an English teacher and I like these sorts of objectives. Adjective, describing word, that's what it is for those people who aren't quite sure. Now, if that is our lesson objective, what are the success criteria? What might we have to do and show our learners in order to make them successful? What might I have to explain, explore, model in order for them to achieve this task? So please feel free to either write straight into our chat Or if this does not relate to you and you feel you are not au fait at all with adjectives, please feel free to write anything in the chat that you think relates to modelling, and we'll have a little look. Beam says this is the method that I use in class. Tamara, could modelling be as well something as differentiation on how one activity can be done in different ways, giving options? Absolutely, yeah, it might be. And it might also be with differentiation that you might feel that a section of students might need a little bit more modelling than another set of students. So you might be able to set off some of the students on the task, and perhaps you need to go over to one group and show them a little bit more and to model to them just a touch more as well. That would be another way to differentiate between them. Beam says sometimes I call them to the board to do the same. That's really nice, absolutely. And we can also use, in terms of bringing other students to the board, we can use each other to model. Absolutely. If you know that one of your students can complete something and has done something in a successful way, then you can always ask them to come to the front and show their learners, and they can model to the other learners exactly what it is, how to do. Any other comments that we've got coming through? Okay, wonderful. All right, I'll let you, I show them live. Thank you, Sasha. Absolutely. Showing them live can be scary because we sometimes make mistakes. But I think being a teacher is all about showing them that it's okay to make mistakes. It's completely okay to make mistakes. And it's completely okay to look at the board and think, I don't think that's quite right. Let me just show you again. And rather than persevering with something that isn't necessarily going very well, it's okay to go, hang on, I've not explained this very well. Let me start again. And I do that quite often. And I think students appreciate that, that idea of, hang on, it's okay to make mistakes, because we're there as teachers to model the behaviour that we expect in them and want in them. And if they're trying their hardest but not quite getting there, that's okay, because we can try our hardest too, not quite get there, but to get there eventually and keep persevering with it until we do. And that's what we want to model. So
Alex, Tamara has got a question about the difference between learning objectives and success criteria.
Okay, perfect. So the lesson objective, to use 2 adjectives in a sentence. This is the skill that I want you to achieve by the end of the lesson. This is what I want you to do. But just because we say that, it doesn't mean they're going to get there. So like I've said to you, okay, use 2 adjectives in a sentence, do this task. And then some of you might have been going, well, hang on, what's an adjective? How can I do this task? Because I don't know what an adjective is. Alex hasn't explained that. So this objective is, this is what I want you to achieve by the end of the lesson. The success criteria, well, how do we make that a success? What are the ingredients? What are the important things that I have to explain in order for my group to be successful at achieving that lesson objective? It's almost like a checklist. So in my classroom, I need people to know what an adjective is. I also need people to know what a sentence is. Because if we don't know those 2 things, we're probably never going to be able to use 2 adjectives. So does that make any more sense? Just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, Tamara. Thumbs up. Anybody else? Please feel free to, yeah, thanks, Sasha. Bit clearer. Okay. So think about it when you're planning. Yes, I've got my objective. Yes, my learners understand what the objectives is. We are all on the same page as to what we want to achieve this lesson. But have I actually step by step scaffolded? That's what other people talk about scaffolding too. Have I thought about exactly what I need to do in order for my learners to get there? That makes sense. Any thoughts? Please feel free. I know I'm running over by a couple of minutes, but please feel free to just drop any notes in now as to whether that makes any sense. Okay. The chat's silent, so I will keep going and just round things off. Thank you so much. Yeah, I know, Tamara, it does go really quickly. Yes, thank you, Sasha. Absolutely. We must ask ourselves exactly, if I didn't know this lesson and if I didn't know what I was doing for this, the objective of this lesson, what is it that I would need to teach my students? So make it clear to the learners what they need to do to achieve the lesson objective. Model the learning yourself. Break the lesson objective down into success criteria, so learners are absolutely clear on what they need to do to achieve the lesson goal. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. Yes, time does absolutely fly. I can't quite believe it at all. Cheryl is, I know, typing away and also putting in our link to our Teach2030 website. So what can we do now? Remember, these workshops are all free. Okay, presenting the lesson and modeling isn't, yes, I understand what you're saying, but it's not always, when you're presenting your lesson, it's not, you're not always modeling, you're not always demonstrating to them exactly what it is you want them to achieve in the task. You might just be presenting the lesson by just saying something like, hello, welcome everybody, today this is what we're going to learn, and that's it. So it might be, presenting is a little bit different from modeling. Okay, you check out your post-event resources, there should be a bit more information about it. So as Cheryl said, next workshop 15th of December.
That's incorrect. It's next month. I'm thinking 2 months ahead.
Oh, Cheryl, yeah, it's only October.
Put it in now.
Put it in now before Christmas. Whilst you're thinking about your Christmas shopping, that's the December one. I'm sure Cheryl will come up with the November dates. So take our low bite-sized courses for teachers just like you, attending our 15-minute online workshops. Remember, they are all free, the 15-minute workshops. Like us on Facebook and YouTube. There's loads of stuff coming out on Facebook. Cheryl is doing a sterling job now of doing a bit more for us for Facebook next month, and there's lots on YouTube as well. Another one of our advisors, Adam, is our technical advisors, is putting lots of stuff on YouTube for us. Please feel free to sign up to our email newsletter at teach2030.com. We don't spam you, we just send you one email a month with some extra little resources for you, so please feel free to sign up to that. If you've got any feedback, please watch out for the post-event questionnaire as well. We always love hearing your feedback, and it's really important to me, especially actually, because I love having a look and seeing what you're saying so that I can improve on our next workshops. And please feel free to bring colleagues to the next workshop. Okay, please feel free. If you've got any direct feedback, I've actually put my email address at the bottom. Please feel free to just take my email address and just send me a message. That's absolutely fine, because I love hearing from you all. Okay, all right. Any further questions or comments? Okay, lovely to see you all, and lovely to see some familiar faces. It's great to have you here again. All those people that I know you know exactly who I'm talking about, that we love seeing you come every month. And we also love all of our new attendees. It's fantastic to see so many of you here. So thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. See you next workshop. Take care. Bye.
Bye.